Welcome, everyone. Beautiful spring day, almost spring, March 9th. I want to thank Mr. Jerome and the other folks for getting our new eagle. For those of you who've not been here at prior meetings, we had an eagle with a broken wing that's been left with me. I will take it home and make sure that it receives an appropriate and decent burial. With that, we'll call the roll. Dr. O'Neill.
Present.
Mr. Heater.
Present.
Mrs. Bales. Present. Mrs. Barnes-Griffin. Present. Mr. Urban.
Present.
Mr. Lowe.
Present.
Thank you. Mr. Williams, I believe you're on tap.
Good evening. Definitely appreciate the opportunity to come before you all this evening. Promise not to take up too much of the docket this evening, but just want to share some of those glows and grows from Southview Elementary School. We appreciated the visit in the fall, and as you all see, we have that same kind of piece of paper in front of you where we really appreciate you sharing those glows, those things that we are currently in the process of doing very well, and some of those grows as well, those things that we need to improve upon. So we definitely appreciate that constructive feedback, and we look forward to reading that after this presentation. Every time we come before anyone, we always want to start with the recognition of teachers. So we definitely appreciate our Southview teachers and staff members. We have our Southview leadership team that is present today, and I will introduce them here shortly. But I know we have a lot of our staff members that are watching online. So if we could please just take a very quick opportunity to give all of the Southview teachers and staff a round of applause, please. And with that being said, throughout this presentation, you will also hear from Mrs. Houston, our assistant principal, Mrs. Ledbetter, our master teacher, Miss Morrow, our mentor teacher, and also Ms. Garies, another mentor teacher in the building as well. As you are looking at this first slide, you will see that there is a children's book in the bottom corner. Every single one of these slides, you will see a different children's book. Some of them may represent a favorite children's book of those that are presenting. Some of them may just be a children's book that aligns with the topic on that slide. So we're going to start with A Snowy Day. That is my favorite children's book still to this day. And when I think about that book, I think about enjoyment. I think about imagination. I think about the footprints and the trails in the snow. And I can connect that to education because those are all things that are very key in education as well. Next slide, please. I guess I can do. There we go. So we're going to start out by talking about what makes Southview special, and it's about the stars. So this particular children's book talks about when you see one star, then you see another, then you see another, and how stars kind of brightly shine together. So we're going to talk about a few ways that we take pride in being Southview stars. The first is a parent letter that I would like to share, and it's just going to be a short excerpts from this letter. This is from a parent, and they shared this with us around the holiday season. And it says, "I just wanted to say that I know your jobs are already stressful and demanding even before COVID and all that it brings, but every time I have interaction with you all, you have been warm, joyous, and beyond helpful. I didn't want you to think it was unnoticed. The relief I feel to leave my son every day with persons that are caring, and that sincerity seems to be that sincerity of love being there, and the children that they work with is beyond measure. I wanted to let you know how grateful I am for you all and all that you do. So thank you for making their school home so happy and loving. I know that it makes all the difference to me, and I imagine it means the world to all of your kiddos even more." And that is something that we had to share with our staff because it's very heartfelt, and we definitely appreciate that parent sharing that note with us. The next thing that we would like to share is a quick movie. For those that have been present the last couple of years, you know the name. His name is Knowledge Smith. He has presented at the last 2 board meetings. This is his 5th grade year, so we wanted him to present once again and go out with style. So we're going to share this quick movie from Knowledge Smith.
Hi, my name is Knowledge Smith. I spoke the last 2 years at the board meeting. I'm not sure if you get nervous during these meetings, but I do. The first time I spoke to you all, I was really nervous, but I enjoyed being able to talk about Southview. I am now in 5th grade, spending my last year in Southview in Miss Morrow's class. I have been at Southview since I was in kindergarten. I have never gone to any other elementary school. I feel sad about leaving Southview because I have so many good memories here, but I am excited to move on to middle school. My favorite Southview memory was when I was in 2nd grade. We had gym class that day, then a popsicle party. After that, we went to recess. I'm going to miss a familiar building when I go to middle school. I am mostly just going to miss being at Southview and everything in it. I appreciate everything all my teachers did each year. Thank you for letting me speak one more time at the board meeting. Have a good night.
And quite simply, a shining star, and he represents all of our shining stars, but definitely a very respectful and responsible young man, so we wanted to give him that opportunity, so we appreciate it. The last thing on this slide we want to talk about is the appreciation of each other. So there is something that we have started this year called The View, Candid Conversations with a Colleague. So we are very appreciative of the diversity team and the cultural competency team that we have across the district. But when we reached out to our staff members, they said, we want to talk more. So more than maybe just that staff meeting or that one opportunity, we want to come together and have deeper conversations. So we come together once a month, and it's an optional meeting. So we socially distance ourselves in the library. We sit in a circle and we have conversations. We talk about community. We talk about race. We talk about politics. But most importantly, we listen to each other carefully because we really, truly want to understand who we are working with and learn from each other. So that is something that we have definitely continued to take pride in at Southview. Press here. This is a book, and really it focuses on starting with the blank page and having a yellow dot in the middle. And as you go through this book, the book asks you to do different things, and when you turn to the next page, those actions appear. So it may ask you to clap, it may ask you to press, it may ask you to shake. So the focus of NIET this year is action. So focusing on what we need to do from one page to the next, 1 month to the next, and having an action plan in place. So this is where we are going to talk to 4 members of our leadership team in succession, and they're going to talk about the action steps that they have put into place for teacher support and student achievement. So you will hear from Mrs. Ledbetter, once again, our master teacher, then Ms. Morrow, 5th grade teacher and mentor teacher, then Ms. Garies, 3rd grade mentor teacher, and then finally, Mrs. Houston, our assistant principal.
All right. Good evening. I'm Tony Ledbetter. Can you hear me okay? All right. I didn't know we were supposed to talk about the book. I don't really think of myself as a princess. But I did like Cinderella because she has a lot of friends that help her, and she sticks to it and does the right things, and things work out for her, and it's just the right fit. So that's what I'm going with today. So first of all, I'd like to begin by thanking and appreciating and giving my gratitude to the MCS Board of Trustees, to Dr. K, to the MCS administration for giving the vision for our teachers and investing in our teachers. I appreciate that. I'm proud to be part of the MCS family, and specifically, I'm very proud to be part of the Southview family. The teachers at Southview are dedicated not only to the growth of their students, but also to the growth of each other. So the teachers there give us a warm and supportive environment, and we know that we are all in this together. So we don't succeed unless everyone succeeds. NIT has given us that platform to better target our growth. So before NIT, when I would give professional development sessions, although they were tied to our school improvement plan, the structures and time to give our teachers that support that they need for follow-up just wasn't there. So NIT gives us that platform, and it lets us give that support. So I have noticed that our teachers are having more productive and collegial conversations. So if you can click that for me, thank you. So our instructional leadership team meets weekly. So we're able to discuss our data and look at the evidence that we have so that we can target our teachers' specific needs and our school-specific needs. So that is done either through our K-5 cluster meetings, or it's done one-to-one with our teacher talks with Tony. So when we have the teacher talks with Tony, the teachers are able to focus on their own growth and what is specific to them. So by using the teacher standards, our teachers are becoming better reflective practitioners. So it's great to be able to have that experience to go into the classroom and see our teachers and our students grow firsthand. And as a master teacher, I continue to learn and grow. So Tangela, our IET consultant, has given the master teachers invaluable guidance and support. So helping us to dig deeper into those teaching standards and helping us to know the concepts and the components of each indicator. So I know there's a lot more to do and there's a lot more to learn. So I'm looking forward to those summer sessions, so where our leadership team has that opportunity to truly look and reflect back on our school year and target the needs of our school. So Southview has that growth mindset. So John Cotton, Dana remarks ring true for Southview. Who dares to teach must never cease to learn. So I appreciate your time, and I appreciate giving me the privilege to be the master teacher at Southview. I don't know how to use this.
Hi, can you hear me? Am I good? Okay. I'm Abby Morrow. I'm the 5th grade teacher. Knowledge is my student. Seeing that, got a little choked up. He's a great kid. So I am going to talk about our new reading curriculum and just kind of how I've been a part of that. It's different for all teachers, but I've kind of been here since the beginning. I'm going to kind of go through what I've done, and then I can pull up my link if that's okay. So I've taught at Southview for about 4 years now, and I am one of the 2 mentor teachers. So around this time last year, I don't remember doing it, but I did sign up to be a part of the beginning. I know Dr. Bell's laughing. Fontenay and Pinnell small groups. So with that, we started working on moving the curriculum from paper and pencil into interactive slides, which is what you'll see here soon. So once we were able to get that started, we brought in the rest of the teachers to kind of work with us. So we started making the slides during the summer, and then once we kind of got that under control, we were able to bring in every teacher. So all 5th grade teachers made every slide grouping by weeks. And then after that, I ended up making the 5th grade curriculum maps for F&P. I took it over from someone, and that was very interesting for me. I've only been teaching for 4 years. I have always just been looking at the curriculum maps that we were given, and then now I'm creating the curriculum maps. So it's very tedious, but I really did enjoy being able to dig deep into it and look at it. So later this week, I will start reviewing all the maps from the beginning of the school year until the end of the school year and finding out discrepancies. Where can we improve? So that has kind of been our focus from here on out. Our maps are done. So now what can we do to make these better? We have teachers say, well, we want to see standards. I am a teacher, so I get that. Like, I want to see standards in my maps. So that's part of something that we are going to be doing starting tomorrow, actually, after that. And then I also have 2 teachers that are going to help me go back and make the necessary changes that go along with that in the slides. So if you want to click that, actually, yeah. So this is an example of a group of slides that myself and then my 2 other 5th grade teachers created. We try to keep it consistent, so if you go into any grade level, any day, they're going to have the same information, just obviously 5th grade for myself. So if you want to click through these. So we start out by saying kind of what the lesson is about. So this was cause and effect. We try to make it easy for the students to understand. These slides are put up in every classroom. So if you visited our schools, you've seen these if you're in there during reading blocks. And so the students know beforehand, okay, we're going to be talking about cause and effect today. And so we keep it very simple. That was something we had to work on. This isn't for the teachers. This is for the students to read. So if you want to click. So here is an example of what we would do as a whole class. So using our Fonteness and Pinnell books, there's a lesson that goes along with this, just like any other reading curriculum. And so we just talk about the cause and effect, which is nice because this was kind of during the COGAT time, which is a test they take, and this kind of went along with that. And then the students do an activity. I don't know how familiar you guys are with this. So this is what the students would be doing in Schoology, which is our LMS system. So this is just what we all did. We worked on this every week. It was a lot of work, but we were able to look through the reading curriculum and see, okay, so if we're all doing this, we all know what everyone across the district was doing. My first couple of years here in Muncie, myself and my other teachers at Southview were not always teaching the same thing every day. So this really did change that. If you go into any 5th grade class in any school, we'll be doing the same thing. So yeah, if you just kind of click through the slides, we don't have to look at any of them. So from here on out, you don't have to play that. Okay. So we included the videos so that whenever students are working on their own, if they're like, oh, I really need to ask Ms. Morrow, like, what do I do again? If I'm working with my small guided reading group, they can go back and watch that movie, that short video. And so we encourage them to. I'm like, okay, did you watch the video? No, watch the video. And then if you still have a question, let me know. So as time goes on, we're going to be making changes to these that kind of gives it a better flow. We're going to be adding standards to it. Overall, this opportunity allowed me to work with a lot of people in the district I'd never met before. I'm not originally from the area, so I was able to meet tons and tons of people, and then overall just be a leader in our district and in our schools. So not only am I a mentor teacher, but I've also kind of taken the leader of the F&P person at my school. So thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Denise Garies, and I also wasn't aware that we were supposed to talk about the book that we chose, but I chose The Monster at the End of the Book. It's a childhood favorite. My mom read it to me all the time, probably every night for a few years, and I think my love for reading began listening to her read that book to me, and using the different voices for Grover and, changing it just really, helped with my love of reading. I am a 3rd grade teacher and mentor at Southview. Although this is my 6th year at Muncie Schools, I was the program director at the Great Achievers After School program at Marion Hunt for 8 years. So I was working with Southview students long before I became a teacher there. Our 3rd graders participated in a reading initiative this year called Read to the Final Four that started in November. And this was put on by the NCAA and the Indiana Sports Corporate Corp, teamed up for this competition to promote and inspire reading growth to 3rd graders across the state of Indiana. The main event was an engaging bracketed reading competition that used Mayan to provide access to books and track time spent reading. Mayan is an online reading program that allows students to pick books that they're interested in and read them online. When they first log in, they take like a quick little interest survey and a quiz to help them find a good reading level. And when they're done, they can begin reading books of their choice, or they can have them assigned by their teacher. And after they've read, they take short quizzes over the book. I challenge my students to read on Mayan at home each day, but also to read when assignments are finished in the classroom. It was such a great resource, especially with everything going on and all the extra precautions this year. Open libraries were a little bit challenging, so having thousands of books online for them to access from home and at school made it really nice. For this competition, the state was split into 4 regions, and Southview was in the Calvert-Cheney region. There were 74 other students from schools from across the state in our region. And in the first round, the top 17 moved on, and we placed in 3rd place. So it was a big deal. My kids were super excited. 3rd place in our whole region was awesome. In the second round, the top 16 schools moved on, and we placed 5th. So once again, we were right up there in the top all along. But unfortunately, in the 3rd round, we did not make it. We had to be in the top 8, and we placed 9th place. So although, we were only I think 500 points, but it ended over the weekend of the big snowstorm. And, I think they had other things on their mind and probably just didn't read as much as they usually would have. So we were so close to making it, but, they were still winners because they felt the pride in seeing how far they went as readers. And I'm hoping that, this additional reading will really show in their iRead scores that the tests they're taking this week. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Christy Houston, assistant principal. I'm also going to throw Anthony under the bus and say, I didn't know I was supposed to speak about my book either, but we're always on the same page, so I can go with it here, yeah. So my book is called The Day You Begin, and at Southview, we like to focus on the kids when they come in every day. We have adults that greet every single bus as they arrive. If there's someone there, our SRO is outside. We have adults helping to get kids out of cars because we want them to have a fresh start every day. Along with that, I'm talking about the social emotional learning piece. And so we have a couple of different things at Southview that we focus on. One is a star moment, which used to be like a positive office referral. So instead of that positive office referral coming from just a classroom teacher, it could be from the custodian or their reading group, someone in the cafeteria, could be anyone that sees them doing a positive moment. So then they fill out a certificate, comes to the office. Again, starting that day positive, we like Mr. Williams to read 4 or 5 of those every day over the announcements. The kids get excited. They get to come down to the office. They get a prize. And then we have a very nice bulletin board. I can say that because I spent hours and hours creating it, that they go up on in the hallway so then they can see. And it's full of all those star moments we've had throughout the year. I also want to talk about then we've tried to acknowledge the teachers that are doing positive things too. So we have shining moments that we have a bulletin board where we post things that the staff members are caught doing. And there are things on there like, we loved your music lesson, or, thanks for getting out the drums. And the kids really enjoyed the PE and specifics for teachers. So we're not only pointing out the positive for students, but we're also trying to point out the positive for our staff members as well. The next part of this is the zones of regulation. So each classroom, we talk about our SEL curriculum. So we have a curriculum called Second Steps, and this is kind of taking that to the next level. So we have created, I can say, I guess with Ms. Smithson's help, our behavior coach and our school counselor and our SAC, our student assistance coordinator, has worked together to come up with a special place in our building where students that are having issues can come and express their feelings. And the point of it is to get them to self-regulate where they're at. And we've only been doing it about a week, and we have big plans and things going for the room. But we'll see kids come down and they'll say already, I'm red. I'm really red right now. Okay, so red means what? Red means I'm angry. So we'll talk about it. So there are 4 different zones: the blue zone, the green zone, yellow, and then red is obviously when they're at the top of of their behavior. But the goal is to get them to vocalize where they're at and then to self-monitor. And then we see students already going back to the classroom and practicing the techniques that they've been taught in that room. So they're learning how to use their belly breaths, and they're using how to make the figure eights to calm down. And the goal also is to prevent behaviors. So we're trying to get them to realize, okay, I was at blue, now I'm getting to green. I'm at yellow, I need support, and to help them get there on their own rather than adults saying, okay, I think you need to go take a time out, or before we get to the extreme behaviors. So we're very excited to start that. You could go back to the next slide. Yep, thank you. We're also very thankful for our partnership with Meridian Health Services. So we have 2 Meridian counselors that are in our buildings almost every day, all day long. They service 26 kids that are getting services then. That could be in the home, it could be at school only. Sometimes kids that they work with have behaviors only at home, and we're thankful for that. And then sometimes we have kids that are behaviors at school and mom and dad don't have issues at home. So the Meridian counselors help the kids one-on-one. They go to class with them, they sit beside them at their desks. They might help them with an assignment. They can also take them out for a break. They help us with parent communication. So we've seen a great increase with our parents that have these Meridian counselors. So mom and dad, there's no mom and dad versus the school going on, and that counselor sometimes helps us to bridge that gap. So we're very, very thankful for our Meridian counselors. And then the last component here for our SEL is our Second Steps curriculum. So part of our goal each week is to make sure that they're receiving a social emotional lesson. So we check the teacher's lesson plans. We've also communicated with our community partners. So Great Achievers at the library and the Boys and Girls Club, they have access to our social emotional curriculum and the calendar. So if we're working on problem solving in school, then they're able to reiterate that and work on it after school in the programs. And then our guidance counselor also does monthly lessons that also focus on the same social emotional skills. So we're trying to encompass that in many different areas. Thank you.
Thank you.
So our next slide is all about community partners. We're all very familiar with the Giving Tree. And with that particular story, the tree was happy. So that is something that you hear often in that book, but we want to make sure that we're not necessarily like that boy and learning to be appreciative at the end, but we're being appreciative all throughout the journey. So this is an opportunity for us to share some of the ways that we're appreciative of our community partners. A little under $20,000 in some grants that came from the 812 Coalition. So this is a partnership with the Education Action Team, which includes 812, Ball State PBS, By 5, Muncie Public Library, United Way, the Ross Center. And we appreciate them looking at Southview saying, how can we help our students? This is also Second Harvest, feeding between 70 and 120 families every fourth Thursday of the month. This is about Great Achievers and the fact that they have a Monday through Thursday until 5:30 remediation and enrichment that focuses on math and ELA. I would like to click on this link that talks a little bit about Muncie Reads, as this is a partnership from the United Way. And this is the opportunity for our community members to be involved and really promote literacy and share their love of literacy. So as you see on the left-hand side of the screen, every one of our teachers has a different page. They each have a different community partner. So there are 3 parts of these slides. They are the read aloud component. So the community partner shares their favorite children's book each month. There's a written pen pal part of this, and then also kind of a monthly challenge from our community partners. So we definitely appreciate all that they provide. Next slide is talking a little bit just about data. Chicka chicka boom boom, will there be enough room, all the way to the top of the coconut tree. So we know that it starts early, and it starts in those pre-K and those K stages of the educational journey. So you are looking at data. The top is kindergarten, beginning of the year, so that's 2nd to 3rd week of September. And so it's showing us the students in green, mid, or above level, all the way to the students in yellow that are 1 grade level below, and then students to the red that are maybe 2 or more grade levels below. At the bottom, you see that is where our kindergarten students stood at the middle of the year, so January 5th through January 21st. And how we get to that point and how we continue is sometimes really not about the data itself. It's about the questions that we ask each other before and after the data. And so some of the questions taken directly from a kindergarten planning session: who are those students that are continuing to struggle? How are we communicating with parents? Because we know it has to be the home to school connection. And what are ways that we are celebrating mastery? And sometimes that oftentimes is a question that we forget to ask ourselves, because we are focusing on the growth, but we have to celebrate. And speaking of celebrations, Ball State University is an asset beyond measure. So there are many different ways that Ball State is contributing. If you come to our building, you will see students engaged in Project Lead the Way. You'll see plants growing this week in the second grade pod. You will see devices being constructed. You will hear problem solving. Another way that Ball State definitely supports Southview is through Dr. Stefanski, our PDS liaison. She's a staff member. I think that's the best way that I can say it, is she's not an outside in. She is a Southview elementary staff member. And then also we have Ball State psych students that are supporting the social emotional learning as well. If we click on the daily activities, this is a newer partnership. So Tony, Andrea, and Lenny from the Health Sciences Department at Ball State, working along Ashley and Dabney, some GAs. They have created many different opportunities, from nutritional lessons that are bi-weekly in our classroom to also healthy lifestyle newsletters. But this is something that is shared with students, and it's an opportunity to take a break. So the rigors of academics can be tiring for our students. So what we have put together collaboratively are 4 different ways that students can take breaks throughout the day. So there is a lunchtime activity if teachers choose to use that. There is a calming activity for them. There is a video brain break, and then a stretching brain break. So once again, just opportunities for our students to step away for 3 to 5 minutes and then re-engage with the activity. So how do we get there? I guess really there's 2 different questions. How do we get there, and then how do we stay there? So my one-word answer would be accountability. So the picture on the right is just some notations from our process checks with Dr. K and other district staff members. And then on the left, that is a picture of the data talks that I have with Dr. Bell. And so very appreciative of the accountability and the transparency, because it's through those conversations and then the conversations with staff that we have that really allow us to make sure that we always know time and score as we're working towards our goals. And then last but not least, we all know the places you will go. And the part of that I will leave you all with is where it says, and will you succeed? Yes, you will succeed, 98 3/4% guaranteed. So I appreciate everything that you all do in contributing to not only MCS, but also Southview Elementary. And on behalf of our leadership team, we appreciate the opportunity.
So, Mr. Williams, any questions for Mr. Williams from the board? Could we go back to the next to the last slide for just a second? Help me to understand BOY versus MOY.
Beginning of year and middle of year.
Okay.
So we have 3 different windows.
Okay.
So we will have another window at the end of the year, so kind of that late April, May. So that'll be our other window for the iReady assessment. And I apologize, I did not say that was iReady data. But yes, beginning and middle of year.
So yellow is, help me out again.
So yellow.
1 grade level behind?
Yes, that is 1 grade level behind. And then your green with the slashes, that's going to be your mid or above grade level. Your green is early on grade level. And then you have your 1 grade level down to your potentially 2 or more grade levels behind.
Okay, and is the first, the parenthetical on the left, is that the middle of the year or the beginning of the year? I'm assuming that it goes middle of the year versus, or pardon me, beginning of the year versus middle of the year.
So the beginning, yes, the data in that top colored line is all beginning of the year. And then your middle of the year is, and maybe I may not be understanding that question.
Pardon me? It's, that was one of them, but I was talking about the next to the last slide.
Oh, the accountability slide?
Yeah,
Sorry.
student data.
Yes. So the data that's on the left-hand side, yes, that was the beginning of the year. Students that were in yellow and red. So we try to focus on shrinking the red, growing the green, knowing that we have to get our students from red to yellow in order to be in that green area. So that was a part of the data talk that I had with Dr. Bell as to which grade levels did we have that were shrinking that red from beginning of the year to middle of the year, and what grade levels did we have that were growing students as well? Yes.
Okay, so it looks like all of the red shrank at all grade levels, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's a positive, right?
It is. It is.
Okay.
Growth towards proficiency. Yes.
Could we have Tony and Abby and Denise and Christy come up for a second? Does anyone have any questions for any of these folks? Do you have anything you wish to ask of us that you're not getting that you need? Mr. Williams, you're included in this too, besides knowing that the books were going to be talked about. But, you know, Mr. Williams did a great job talking about the books. So, but in all seriousness, anything that you're needing that you're not getting? So, anything at all? Okay, on behalf of the board, and we told other presenters this from all of our schools who presented, thank you for doing just such an exemplary job under what have been very difficult and challenging and stressful circumstances this year. To see the preliminary data that has been shared tonight, obviously that is just a thumbnail of what's happened down at Southview, but the stories of what's going on at that school are remarkable. The growth that you have seen with your students, again, under remarkably difficult circumstances, with anxiety levels where they are. We just cannot say thank you to you, and derivatively to your colleagues at Southview, and please pass that along, and to all of you who are watching tonight. We are just so very proud of the work that you've done, and we thank you. Mr. Williams, anything you need?
Not necessarily a need. I know we talked about this during the school board visit, so we definitely have a lot of great plans in place, thanks to Mr. Jerome and Mr. Harvey, Mr. Dittmeyer, with regards to a long-term plan of updating different places in the building, different projects in the building. I would say just the feedback of how do we make the outside of Southview really exemplify a school. So we have, a lot of different great projects inside, but just that visual piece, adding that, maybe that color, that landscaping. So when you're driving up to it, it's like, this is my elementary school, proud to work here, proud to, have this as a part of the community. It's like I said, that pride is there, but just that visual.
Is that something that you have had an opportunity to talk to First Presbyterian about at all?
We've had some conversations in terms of landscaping and some of those ideas. Yes, sir.
Okay, so if there was a vision there, and they, or any partner, and certainly all things have a cost, let us know what the cost estimate would be, and we'll see if Brad has money in in the checking account. See if we can't get something accomplished.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Anything else?
No, we appreciate your all support.
Okay, thank you very much again. Yes. Mr. Williams, this is something that could occur.
We can involve our CAP students, college architecture and planning, into looking at the exterior of your facility. They could probably come up with a bunch of good ideas.
I definitely appreciate it.
Excitement, yeah.
Jim, would you mind reaching out to Dave?
We can do that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know Dave Ferguson, who's Dean of College of Architecture?
I talked with him once because he did kind of help with some ideas for dismissal. And then there's that part in front of the old Wilson Apartments that belongs to
Right.
MCS. So I think he gave some feedback on some long-term ideas for that as well.
Yeah, that would be of interest, I
Yeah,
would
we'll
think.
connect you. And I understand the challenge because you're kind of tucked back in there. There's no visibility. They can get creative, and we'll get you connected with Dave.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Jenny?
Hello, everyone. I feel like I've been here a lot lately, haven't I? I do have some team members that I'm going to bring up, so you guys can come on up that have participated with me on this. I told them that I didn't want this to just be the Jenny Smith show. I wanted them to chime in and give comment where needed. So tonight we're here to talk about high ability education. One of the responsibilities I have for Muncie Community Schools is being the high ability coordinator for the district. So I write the grant and kind of monitor how we use those funds. And I work with an amazing group of teachers and administrators to make that happen. So I wanted to go ahead and just tell you a little information before we get started. The first thing is, what does high ability mean? Because some people call them gifted programs or different things like that, but high ability in the state of Indiana is really twofold. So the first thing is the student could have really high potential, meaning on a test of intelligence, something like what we use is the COGAT test here. It's the cognitive abilities test in Muncie. If they have a really high score on that test showing they have lots of potential, and there's all kinds of subtests that go into that, their verbal skills, their quantitative skills, as well as nonverbal skills. A lot of people have really big strengths in that nonverbal area. So we look at all three of those pieces to see if this student has high potential for learning. And then the other way you qualify is through high achievement. So achievement's different than potential. Potential means everything's good with your brain to be able to do it. Achievement means you actually do it. So do they have high scores in reading, high scores in math in those areas? So we look at both pieces, and we qualify students that have high potential, but they might be underachieving. Or we qualify students who have high achievement, but maybe their COGAT score was just, in the average range. That's totally fine. Either way, if you're high achieving or high potential, you can qualify for high ability in Indiana. So we serve both of those populations of students in the program. All right, so we have 5 plans that we work on as part of our work in high ability. We have to identify the students. Who are we serving? Who are they? And so through the achievement data and the potential data, and then we also collect some things called qualitative data, which are little teacher information grids that we send out, and the teachers recommend kids for us to look at for high ability as well. So we have that 3 points that we look at as we're deciding. Then we have a curriculum plan. What are we teaching? And how is this different than what's happening in the regular classroom? We want to be able to compact the things that kids already know and move to the next more challenging thing. So sometimes we move a little bit faster in a high ability classroom. And I may have Courtney speak to that in just a second of how her classroom moves a little faster in what they teach. And then professional development is really big. How do we help our teachers that are teaching high ability and honors classes grow as teachers as well? Because high ability students have different needs than a typical general education classroom. So helping them understand the needs of high ability learners is really important. And then we have a guidance and counseling plan that we're working on. We're really lucky that our guidance counselors have really taken this on and are looking at how we can best support the needs of high ability learners all the way from kindergarten through high school. And then we have a program evaluation plan. And basically our program evaluation plan is this. At least every 7 years, we want to really look at our program and say, what things, I actually bring in like an outside person to look at everything we're doing and say, this is great, best practice, best practice, best practice, and here's where you can work on it. Because I can look at it with my eyes all I want, and we can all look at it with all of our eyes, but getting that outside perspective at least once every 7 years of an expert in the field of high ability is invaluable to us. So we're lucky that here at Ball State, they actually have people that do those types of evaluations. So I am actually not sure when the last time someone did that was, but I was hoping we could get a few years with me under my belt before I bring in an outside person, because I knew we had a lot to work on. So hopefully in the next few years at some point, we will have one of those evaluations done by Ball State. So Courtney, talk a little bit for me about curriculum in high ability. Would you do that?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Courtney Williams. I'm going to turn this down a little. I know. We both got to present tonight. How cute. Yeah, so I am a third grade high ability teacher at East Washington Academy, where the program is. And just kind of going off of what she was talking about, we have lots of kids who are at different levels. So we really try and differentiate our instruction for them. We do move at a faster pace, especially in math. We actually teach our grade standards, but then we also do the grade above us. So we're kind of hitting both standards. And then we definitely dig deep. So it's not just those typical questions. Like, we do a lot of explaining. One big thing that we adopted this year was our new math curriculum, and it is amazing because it really teaches the kids not just to plug and chug, but more or less like dig into what you're learning and then explain it. And so it was a big wake-up call for them this year because there's a lot of writing in it, and they're like, why do we have to write in math? But it's just really given them a way different, like a better way to think about math. And I will say that, like, our new math curriculum that we have I've taught more this year already, like in December, than I taught my whole last year. And so that made the fourth grade teachers really excited. In the fifth grade, they're like, yes, they're gonna know a lot more. So it's just really good. The program is awesome. One thing that's really unique for us is that we are an all-day self-contained classroom, where a lot of other districts have just like pull out for an hour or things like that. So that's something that we love to promote, and that's just great for our school, is that it's all day long. And even if you're higher in one area, we still can meet your needs of the other area where you may be a little behind. So hopefully that kind of explained a little bit. Is that gonna be important?
So yeah, it's really important to note that you don't have to be gifted in everything to be part of our high ability program. You can be really high in math and just, working on grade level in reading, and we will take you in our program and differentiate instruction for you to meet your needs. So that is part of what makes it special. I definitely want to point out, though, too, that we are a unique program when it comes to the programs for high ability in East Central Indiana. Most programs around us are either once or twice a week pull-out programs, after-school programs, things like that for high ability students, where our students are immersed in high ability all day long. So they don't just only get to be high ability 2 hours a week. So that's a great thing for us. All right, so marketing our program came up. We have a meeting every April called the Broad-Based Planning Committee for High Ability, and I invited a whole bunch of community members. Of course, we were not in school last year, so we did this virtually, where I invited community members, parents. I think, Cindy, you participated in that, and Cindy is here to provide a parent perspective for us tonight when we get to that stage of the presentation. But we identified there's a need for more marketing for our program. People didn't really know about us and know what we're doing that's so special here in Muncie. So we decided to put a committee together, and we were focusing first on elementary and really marketing, because we all know if we can get them into our schools in elementary school, then we can keep them a lot of times. So we created a committee, and Cindy volunteered to chair that because she had marketing in her background, even though she is a teacher for us. And she said, yeah, let's do this. And so they've been meeting as a committee this year. Let me get to the right slide here for myself. And one of the things in one of those first meetings that came up was, right now we call our elementary program at East Washington Academy the ELP program. Well, that was very confusing to me when I first got the job here, because ELP to me, because I used to be a title director, was English language proficient. So I thought, what are they talking about, like ELP? And then I also realized that at the Department of Education, extended learning opportunities or extended learning programming is after school program or before school program. So ELP stands for two different other acronyms at the Department of Education. So this could be really confusing to people who look at us and say, what's ELP? Well, my student's not, needing English language learner services, so this isn't for me. Or I don't need after school care, I've got this. We don't want it to be confusing. So we thought maybe a rebranding might be needed. And so the first thing we started talking about in this committee was a name change. Because we're like, we want people to know this is a high ability program so that it's not confusing for anyone. We've met 4 times. We've gathered lots of data. We did both a parent survey and a teacher survey based on that. And one of the questions was about the name change. As you can see from the pie chart, more than 2/3 of the people that we surveyed from our families said, yes, a name change is needed. That's confusing. And others said no. But like I said, they probably may have had kids in the program already, knew what it meant, that kind of stuff. So I don't know exactly which families said what, but 2/3 is a pretty good number, I think, for the parents that we surveyed.
So Jenny, let me ask a question about that. Where folks say no, some of that, to my mind, depends on the question. Was this a question that was asked, is ELP confusing?
We asked, we said something about the committee is considering a name change to Muncie High Ability Program. To Muncie High Ability, do you think that a name change would be a good idea? And that's.
Would you support that as a change?
Yes.
And did the folks who voted no, did you hear any reasoning as to why? I'm just curious.
I don't think anybody put that in the comments. We did have a place for comments.
There were a couple of people who said, I'm fine with the ELP because I understand what that means, but we also know that doesn't mean things for the outside public. So
yeah.
Yeah, and I was just concerned with, well, certainly 2/3 is a relatively high vote in an election. I was a little concerned with the strength of the no votes there.
Yes.
Okay.
And actually, I can tell you, because I just checked tonight, we had 47% of families who responded to that survey for us. It was, I think, 6 questions.
Okay.
And so it was very quick for them to do. They could do it on the phone. And we had, that was an awesome turnaround for an online survey.
Okay. Any other questions? Thanks.
So top strengths that came out in the family survey were, number 1 was the teaching staff. Comment after comment on the family surveys about how incredible the high ability teaching staff are for our elementary school. So that came out as a huge strength for us. And then second, which was very close behind, was the academic rigor of the program, that kids are being challenged and they are getting a just right amount of challenge in that program so that they're still growing and learning. So now let's talk about the stuff we don't always like to face. And that is areas of improvement that came up on the family survey. Number 1, one of the top ones was lack of diversity in the program. Unfortunately, in our schools, we don't have as many students of color in the program as we would like. And we are doing all kinds of things now as part of the committee to brainstorm ways to help create more diversity in the program. I know I worked really hard last year to try to get the word out about people who wanted their child to be evaluated for high ability, to many different places, to preschools, to churches, things like that. And we still ended up not having hardly any students of color apply for our high ability kindergarten. So we're going to be working on more strategies for that. And this year, since I can actually visit the centers, last year they were all closed because of COVID. This year I can actually visit the centers, talk to teachers, find out which kids might be their highest students, maybe students who are 4-year-olds who are already reading or who already know all their letters and numbers and who really would be a good fit for this program. Then we can get them in for a screening. So I think that would be, we'll be a little more hands-on with that this year since we won't have the COVID restrictions.
So Jenny, a quick question on that issue. Do we have students of color who are going through the screening, ostensibly qualifying, but choosing not to apply? I'm seeing some yes.
A little, yeah.
And
That's another one of our goals is we're trying. So when they qualify, then they get a letter where they can accept it or deny it. And I think a lot of the issues we've heard and seen are people didn't know what the program was. So like other schools, if the kid qualifies for Longfellow, they're like, well, I don't want to send my kid to EWA. Their homeschool is Longfellow. So that's something we're working on as the marketing committee to really promote that and get, we're going to have like some meet and greet time where parents can ask questions, where they can come tour the school. But yes, so there are kids who are getting in but are denying it.
Yeah, they're choosing to stay at their homeschool.
okay.
Right. Sure. So, and I've got lots more strategies we're going to share with you. So, another thing that came up was the location of the program at EWA, and it was mostly due to long bus rides. Because we do provide transportation. If you live anywhere in Muncie Schools District and you qualify for the ELP program right now, we do provide transportation for that family. But sometimes that means a long bus ride, depending on where they live in the district. So that was noted as something to look at for improvement. So I'll have some conversations with Tammy about that and see if there's any way that we can help that. Lack of extracurricular activities for high ability was noted as a weakness. And this year there hasn't been any because of COVID restrictions and we didn't have extracurricular at the elementary level. So I don't know if that affected our survey results any at all. But we have had some of those in the past. I know they've had summer opportunities for high ability and things like that. And I know that we definitely want to do some things with robotics and things like that moving forward. So that'll be something we can very easily remedy. Wanting teachers that are high ability certified. So this is interesting to me because when I surveyed all of our high ability teachers, more than half of them are high ability certified and others are working on it. We only have a few who are very close to retirement that aren't high ability certified and within 5 years of retirement. And they said, really, there's no incentive from the state for me to do that. So what I've done is I've offered to pay for any coursework out of our grant that if a teacher would like to take a high ability class at Ball State, they can get the Ball State discount, the Muncie Schools discount for half of it, and then the grant will pick up the other half. And so we've had 2 teachers take advantage of that so far, and Courtney's going to be taking advantage of that soon too, so yay. So that's been a problem we've been easily able to start working on as well. But we do have, out of our 9 current high ability teachers at East Washington Academy, 3 of them are already high ability certified, and 2 of them will finish this summer. So out of the 9, that will be 5 that will be totally done.
And Jenny, if we look across the state, our numbers probably look very
We
good.
have way more than most schools, yes. All 11 years in Alexandria, I never had more than 2 in the whole district K to 12. So it's very rare for teachers to get high ability certification. So we're ahead of the curve there. I just think parents didn't know. So that's one thing they mentioned. And then communication of opportunities available. So opportunities available for specific to high ability learners was another one they mentioned. So we're now working on some plans for that as well. So those came from the family survey. Teacher survey. So the teacher survey also mentioned needing more communication for high ability families. People don't know about us. We need them to have more information. They don't even know that we have honors classes at both middle schools. There was a misconception that we didn't find out till this school year that Southside Middle School didn't have any honors classes, that it was only at Northside Middle School. So a lot of families were choosing to either stay at Southside and not participate or apply to Burris or things like that, which meant we would be losing students. So we need to clear up all those misconceptions that have been surrounding needing more communication. So since then, Andy has helped me graciously, and Andy's on our committee as well, by the way. Andy, you're back here. Yeah, Andy has helped get me a school messenger account set up, and we are working on getting all of our high ability families into lists. So that anytime a high ability opportunity for students comes up, and anytime we have information to share with them, we're going to do classroom spotlights, we're going to do spotlights for middle school and high school, but those will go out to all high ability families at least monthly so that they start having better communication. Lack of diversity came up in the teacher survey as well. One of the survey responders talked about we need to have a teacher of color in our high ability program. So how can we, I want us to definitely work with Rhonda on how we could recruit for that when we have positions that open in the high ability program. I think that would be wonderful if we could do that. So everyone's recognizing that as an area for improvement. More PD for all teachers in high ability. So this one came about because we do send those teacher grids out to every teacher in the district. They fill it out for all their students about which students they feel need to be included in high ability programming. And sometimes we have teachers who just put a slash through it and say none, instead of really sitting down and thinking through, do my students have these characteristics? So we might need to do some professional development as a district on what high ability looks like, so that when teachers see that in their classrooms, then they can start recognizing that and including that on the grids when they fill those out. So that may be an area we need to look at as far as district level, just basics of high ability education and what does a high ability student look like in kindergarten, in first grade, in second grade, those kinds of things. The teacher survey agreed with the name change, across the board, and they were concerned about students leaving our program in 5th grade. We do have quite a few students who apply to Burris for 5th grade, or they come here for elementary programming for the elementary, and then they go back to their county school because they live in Cowan District or Delta District or some of the other districts. So we do know that some families do know about our elementary programming and bring them here specifically for that, and then return them to their home schools for middle and high school. All right, so the next piece I want Cindy to really talk about and do, because this was kind of, she's our parent representative, and I want her to talk about her experience as a parent, number one, and why she wanted to be involved in this committee from the get-go, and then I can have her walk through some of these student testimonials that we have.
Thank you. So my name is Cindy Miller, and actually I have 24 years of experience in marketing with education because I early retired from Ball State University. Ended up a teacher by accident, but the big reason why I was so interested in this committee is that I have a high ability learner who lives at my house. And his name is David. He's in the back of the room. David is awesome, but don't let it go to his head. So, and the problem was that when he was 4 and in preschool with Janelle Kramer, Janelle said, this is a really big learner, and we can't just send him to a regular kindergarten because it's not going to turn out well, she didn't think. And I thought, everybody thinks their kids are so special. That's nice. And then I would see him interact with his peers, and I was like, oh, well, maybe there was some maybe there was some truth to that. So as I started investigating, I heard from neighbors, the Powell family, about the awesome ELP, and started to look at it because I'm an education consumer, and started looking at other schools. We lived in the Mitchell School District, so Mitchell was a good choice. But like I said, I really felt like David had a really big worldview for what life was all about, even as a young person. And he was an early reader, and he is super gifted at math. He's great at piano. I haven't found anything that David's not good at yet. And very gifted in athletics. And so, like I said, just kind of an amazing kid. So as I was searching, I realized that you have a really good program. And even I call it your best kept secret, which should not be a secret, because this is such an outstanding program where he is with his peers who are similar to him for 8 hours out of the day. They can bounce out ideas off of each other and collaborate on projects. And the learning that he gets is so much bigger than Burris, because that was kind of my next pick. Because Burris would have pulled him and a few peers out for a couple of hours, and they would have given him extra homework. And for me, that wasn't going to be good enough. So I picked the LPO program. I was so happy I met with Judy Eden. She relayed kind of helped my anxiety a little bit, told me that he would learn phonics, which I felt would make him a better reader for a lifetime. He would also have other opportunities to strengthen his math skills and also work on being less of a social butterfly, which was Mom's anxiety. So David has done very well. He won a speech contest last year for MLK Day, which was super. He has done well. He's had Mrs. Williams for 2 years, and has really he has excelled. He is somewhere in the 6th and 7th grade for math and reading at this point. I think the sky is the limit for David and his peers, because all the children in his classroom, they're all awesome learners. And I think that's the part that we really need to look at in building this program, is finding more of those learners who just need a little push to get where they need to be. So, sure. So here, Brooke Stallings, she is the class of 2021. She is an awesome student. She shares here that her memory that stands out was in time in 1st grade. And so she partnered with an older student to talk about Black History Month, focusing on Wilma Rudolph. And we did have, because we actually had Wilma Rudolph visit our classroom just last week. So Rhonda Ward did that for us. And so as you can see, Brooke has had an awesome experience. It's really sparked her interest in history through these experiences, and that's all thanks to Muncie Community Schools. So let's look at the next one. Participating in the ELP program was one of the best decisions I've made. Duncan, Kinsey, Cheryl. I was able to learn in a more hands-on, project-based way with teachers that genuinely cared about the topics and the students. I often I look back on my experiences in my 4th grade class at East Washington Academy. We also have another person, Mackenzie Durbin. She says that every single morning during elementary school, I remember being excited to go to school, and that's awesome. I got to see my friends, but most importantly, I was awarded the opportunity to learn in a way that was specific to me. Our teachers throughout the years made learning not only interesting, but super fun. So she's had so many awesome memories from the program. And Jacob Emmert, who is also getting ready to graduate a year from now, he says that during the 6 years that he attended East Washington, he learned a lot about himself and he grew as a person. One of my best memories from my time there was learning about my family tree in 5th grade. The big project we presented at Celebrate Excellence was a living museum of our ancestors. How cool. During the final semester of the school year, my class researched our ancestry and used stories and historical events to identify a conflict that one of our ancestors experienced and how they overcame it. The project gave me a reason to learn more about my heritage and allowed me to relate to my grandparents and understand what they went through. So as you can see through these testimonies, it just isn't learning about math and reading. It's learning about just so much more that you're not going to find in a regular classroom. anywhere in the county or in our city. So that's why I think that the ELP High Ability Program is so awesome.
So like Jenny said, we have Andy who's been like so awesome with helping us. So one of the things we're working on is we're making a brochure that will promote this a little bit more. We used to have like a flyer, but it was just not wonderful. So it's the best way to say. So anyway, we're trying to make a brochure. We're working on getting pictures and we're working on getting all that information out. So when we do, then we'll present that to you guys, but hopefully that will be coming soon. The dual language had one that was amazing, so we want ours to be amazing as well.
Thanks, Courtney. We've also talked about maybe creating, because we know that not all people are real comfortable with coming in person into the buildings yet. So we thought about making maybe a virtual tour of our ELP program that we could do a voiceover on a PowerPoint and have parents be able to flip through and see what all the program offers that we could include on our website. And then also Sarah Anglin, who's the principal at EWA, came up with a great idea of offering maybe a once a month time where parents can sign up to come and see the program, and that way we can limit the number of people and really keep social distance and all of that. And if parents are interested in the programming, that there would be a link where they could sign up to attend one of our tours. I know that that's really a great idea for a lot of the programs that exist. Like I know Erskine Green here in town has a monthly day where parents can sign up to see about that for their children. So I think that would be something that would be something that Muncie is already used to. So that would be a good way to do that. We also definitely want to work on that communication piece. So again, we've got the school messenger set up now. We're working on getting all of those families into the list so that I'll be able to gather stories from the classrooms, pictures, opportunities like different high ability camps or different high ability after school things through Cornerstone Center for the Arts, anything like that that's in the community that I can share out with those parents that might be of interest to them for their students. And then we want to have that intentional focus on equity and diversity. So we're going to keep working with Rhonda. We'll keep working with our committee on ways that we can do that and how to really make our program look like Muncie Community Schools. So if you have any questions for us, that's
Any questions? Mark?
Just a couple comments. This is exciting stuff, and I think you're really off to a good thought process about rebranding, and because ELP to me doesn't say anything about what this is. And I hate acronyms anyway. That's one of the struggles. Being a school board member is everything's an acronym. But I think, at least to me, and this may not be anyone else, but I really like the focus on high achievement and not necessarily high ability. High ability, although it's an important component of it, you have to have the ability. If you focus on that, it makes it sound like a club that only certain people are allowed to join.
Right.
Whereas if it's achievement, I think anyone or within reason, people can achieve if they really want to and try hard and work hard. And I think that, if there's a way into that for people who want that and are willing to do that, that's a really good thing. And I think the other thing in terms of marketing, maybe that's a little bit different, maybe about Muncie than others. I really like the idea of portraying what can my child achieve in life if given the opportunity to learn through this program. Because I think parents are really interested, about what you can get in life, not what certificate you get or not whatever, but and a good example of that, in your marketing, show on a video the living family history. That's amazing. Show the Wilma Rudolph project, the preparing the bus, the doing the background. Those things are amazing things that if people see, wow, that's exciting.
Yeah, one of the reasons I shared the photo of the first grade paragraphs is because I was like, a first grader wrote that when I walked into the hallway, and I took a picture of it because I was like, are you kidding me? This is amazing. So those kinds of things are definitely what we need to be showing.
Absolutely. I thank you for the presentation. I think it's really good, and it's a hard thing to show, but I think Muncie may have something to sell here that others don't have.
Absolutely.
But then trying to figure out how to keep people into the secondary schools is going to be the challenge too. We have to do that as well, it sounds like, and it's a good opportunity there as well.
Well, and we welcome any member of the board that would like to participate in the committee. You just let us know and we will send you an invite, because if you have ideas to share with us on ways we can improve, then we want to hear that too.
So,
Yeah, I wanted to ask something. Yeah, I just, is there anything that we can do as a board or as a district to help support this and to help market this?
I mean, I think with our name change, I think that's gonna be a game changer. I know we talked about a family actually came, which was really cool, ironically, that happened today, but Royerton, they have actually removed their high ability teacher and put her in a gen ed classroom. So Royerton students are not being serviced for high ability kids. So we actually had a family come to us today saying, I want to come like tomorrow. And so that was really cool that they're getting the word around that we offer something amazing. And so I think, yeah, just spreading that word and getting the name changed is like our biggest thing, because we want to grow the program and we want to offer it to anyone around the area, not just Munson State Community Schools, but everywhere.
okay.
Speaking of talk, like how awesome would it be, instead of just one classroom of learners for first grade, would it be awesome to have 2 classrooms of learners for first grade, and so on, so that way you just have that much more impact on kids in our community.
Any additional questions?
I won't go into it, but I know that we have diversity equity teams that relate to like targeting the population. And I went through the ELP program in elementary school. It was in my school, and I know that we changed that, but it was in our school. So that kind of reduced some of the barrier of even my school district of transportation and all those things. But also still like marketing in such a way that I heard you say like I know that South Side didn't have any that were being, so you know that they were being tapped, and then they were looking at numbers and data and was like, look at all these people who qualify.
I will say that I am so impressed with the master teachers at Southside Middle School. This year they worked really hard with the guidance counselors to find more students of color to add to our honors programming. And they showed me the data and I said, let them in, let's do this, let's get them in. We are not gonna wait another day. And like I said, a lot happened before, like the identification plan was a little different before I got here. So as we're finding students that should be in the program, we're letting them in, like tomorrow. I mean, like, we aren't making them wait till next semester. We're letting them in as we find them. Absolutely.
Right.
No doubt that there's this pioneering program that's happening.
Absolutely. Yes, and Andy had a wonderful idea for I just thought of this as he reminded me, that to get Eric Grimm and Corey to come and talk to our 5th graders about what honors is like at middle school. So that they will know from day 1 of 5th grade that this is an option for them and what it looks like, and they'll get excited about that. So I think that would be a great opportunity as well. And maybe even give them a chance to visit when we do the visits to Southside Middle School, that they'll be able to visit an honors classroom.
Sure. Allison?
I'm a parent,
Uh-huh.
a high school student, but I was wondering if the rebranding would also focus on what the high school are.
That's actually another committee. So we started with this one and then we're going to be working our way. I'm actually working with middle school right now to start focused on their committee because they need a lot of work with how do we get the word out about the middle schools. And then actually the high schools already started on some of that, but we'll get it all together. And then hopefully when we get our new platform of our website, then all of that will be on the website and we'll have materials that we'll be able to hand out to families.
So Allison, what, Nora's a sophomore. So what would be your thoughts on that?
Well, I agree with that. There are a lot of great secrets that we need to figure out how to showcase. I actually am also a homeroom teacher for 8th grade middle school that probably nobody in here really knows much about. And I advocate for Munson State schools on a regular basis. I actually applied with my students an early college application and made myself available to parents that maybe have questions. So many do not
Sure.
That branding and that marketing should be across the board.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I would say the point that's being made there is one that we've thought from the very beginning, the outset of this venture, is that branding and marketing has been overlooked. And so I would, whatever, I understand we have committees, but I would, to the extent whoever's participating on that other one, we need to look at that across the board.
Absolutely.
And then on the issue of equity and diversity, please report back to us in the summer what it looks like, because that's an area that we need to revisit regularly until we determine what hurdles need to be removed in order to make certain that we are working through that challenge across the board. And so Rhonda's, I think, did Rhonda have to step out? So keep Rhonda engaged closely on that.
We definitely are. Sarah Price is going to be getting me a list of all of the preschools that are currently open, so that we can visit each of them and talk to them about what students they have that are high ability that we could tap for kindergarten. We'll continue that for sure.
Okay. And, space is a good problem to have. So if we get, Cindy's point is, if we'll figure it out.
Sure.
So Cindy, thank you. I want to thank you for keeping me in the loop with my email. I will tell you, the reason I don't is I have discovered, much to my regret and chagrin, that when I join a committee, particularly like at work or whatever, I can say, let's do pepperoni pizza, and we're getting pepperoni pizza because people defer to me.
I did the same thing. I refused to go to their first two meetings because I didn't want my thoughts to taint it.
Yeah,
I told them, I said, I'm not coming till the third one.
So I find that, and Watasha's really good about making sure I don't always get pepperoni pizza. And that's important. I say that understanding it. So I am keeping abreast of it and closely watching it, but I do not want to infect it with my views, which are not as well informed as many of the folks on that committee. I was just a person of high potential. I've always just been a person of high potential. Never really recognized any of it. Irvin and I are both high potential. Right, Mark?
Potential is the key word.
Potential is the key word. So David, how are you doing? What are you playing over there? Candy Crush? What grade are you in now? Fourth? And you like playing piano? Jazz or classical or anything? Do you like EWA? Okay. You need anything from us? Pizza?
I love it.
Do you and I like pepperoni? You don't want anything else on it, do you? What else do you want on it? Nothing else? Okay, we'll get along fine.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alice, did you need anything else? Good. Okay. We're moving a little slow, and I apologize for that. That's as much my fault as anybody's. Dr. Kwiatkowski.
I think that was a signal to make this quick.
No, take your time.
I first want to say, David, if any of you recognize David's face, he is on our strategic plan. So he was one of those photos we used, and we appreciate that smiling face. I have just a few things I wanted to mention. One, we as a community wrote a grant called the Promise Neighborhood Grant that focuses cradle to career. And I want to recognize the George and Frances Ball Foundation. Tom Kinghorn, Courtney, and Kelsey put a significant amount of time and effort into the working with us on this grant. And it wouldn't be in as good a shape as it is if it would not have been for them, and as well as Ball State University. So the three groups coming together and bringing in over 20 community members. And so I wanted to say thanks to all of them. Wanted to give you an update. iRead 3 started this week and it's going well. Chuck even had great success with getting our virtual learning students coming in for the virtual or for the iRead assessment this morning and this afternoon. The dean from Ball State University, Dean Maury, and I have last week made it to 6 schools, school visits, and next week we'll continue. So those have been a lot of fun. I wanted to also just give a COVID update. Same as the last time we met, we are having very few cases in our classrooms. Knock on wood, we hope that continues. Teachers are now able to get vaccinated, so we're proud to see that opening up, and we've had many teachers already take advantage. I also enjoyed reading about Watasha's journey with vaccinations, and you know, she's a good example for folks who are a little hesitant to see, to hear her story, and I know she's very open if anybody wants to reach out to her to learn more. And then finally, I just wanted to mention that the week that we return from spring break will be when we kick off our registration. We are going to still have a virtual learning program school that's going to be here next year, because we'll still have some who are hesitant to come back, and also some that way of learning has worked for them. And so I just wanted our community to know that that will be available as well. We will be doing some fun ways of getting folks excited to register early, so be watching for those.
Thank you. Any questions for Dr. K? Okay, Andy, any public comments?
Beth Kraler with the Muncie Public Library. Just to let everybody know, starting Monday, March 15th, we are reopening back for grab and go. We've always been open, you just had to do curbside. No appointments will be required, but means kind of try and keep it to about an hour. Normal days, Monday through Sunday. However, starting April 5th, we will be changing our hours. We will be going Monday through Friday, 1 to 7, Saturday, 1 to 5, and we will be closed on Sunday, but it'll still be more of a grab and go type of a thing.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, Beth. Any additional public comments? Okay. We're on to the consent agenda, items A through G inclusive. We'll just recognize again the many generous donors we have in this community who've, again, month to month continued to support Muncie Community Schools. So thank you to all of you who do continue to remember our schools during this time. Any additional questions, concerns, or comments regarding the items referenced on the consent agenda? Hearing none, would entertain a motion. Have a motion, second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, those all pass. Dr. Bell, Dr. Reynolds, summer learning opportunities.
Good evening, President Williams. Good evening, President Williams, Board of Trustees, Dr. K, and our community and family members. We are ready to kick off for our summer activities, starting with our third grade literacy group camp for iRead. We are doing iRead this week, and as I visited schools, things are going very well. We will have the results, preliminary results in March, right after spring break, and then the final results will come in April, and we are planning to look at 2 possible locations depending on number of students at each of those 2 locations, but it'll determine with some summer facility repairs and the number of students. And so we will look a north and a south side of town. Transportation will be provided, and we will provide lunch and breakfast for students. We also are offering a camp adventure, science and literacy camp, an additional responsibility in the last 2 or 3 weeks has been adding Camp Adventure to my plate, and so I've had the pleasure of working weekly with Sarah Badgley, and we have already shared 3 lessons per grade level, kindergarten through 5th grade, and that has been shared with principals so that teachers can get moving and going, taking their classes to Camp Adventure. And so we're really excited about our partnership that we've done in the last, we didn't do it last summer, but previously 3 years with Stacy Allred at Ball State. And so the June camp will run June 7th through July 1st, Monday through Thursday, with Ball State students, Stacy Allred and Sarah Badgley, and we will hire 1 Muncie Community School teacher. And then our goal is to have 80 students there. We started with our Grissom and Southview students. Those applications have already gone out to those schools, and some have already returned. If we don't make our 80 with those students, then we will reach out to EWA students until we get to our capacity of 80 students. Our next Camp Adventure activity will be for July, and we are focusing in on our current 3rd graders and current 4th graders. So 3rd graders going to 4th graders going to 5th grade for next year to run camp Monday through Thursday, the month of July, from July 5th through the 29th, with, again, a goal of 80 students. With 80 students, we will focus on having 8 to 9 teachers, along with Sarah and Jack out there running, helping with some of the programming. Again, for these programs, we will provide breakfast, lunch, and transportation and snack. We also, for our elementary students in 4th and 5th grade, are looking forward to a youth writing camp. And so this will run June 14th through June 25th. The location will be determined. In person, camp is $150 to $170 per student, and then the virtual, that fee has yet to be determined, but we have secured grant funds that we will support that so that students will not have to pay. So we would offer that to our Muncie 4th and 5th graders free of cost to the students because we have grant funding that will support that. Slow me down if I'm going too fast. I have reached out to our community partners, and so to see what some of their programming will be for the summer. MP3 will continue to do their summer programming. Our partnership with Longfellow through Ball State, they're looking at July 6th through July 30th with a focus of about 85 students. That will be a half-day program, as they have run that in the past for half a day. Grissom Gold is going on right now. That is a part of, it's an after-school program that has been modeled after MP3, and part of that grant with the Ball State and MP3. Before the summer, Grissom Gold will start from the last day of school. For us, we end in May, so after Memorial Day, Grissom Gold will pick up again June 1st, and they plan to go all the way through August 9th until school starts. That program is at Grissom Elementary, and they are looking at 60 students. I met with them. We meet monthly as we look forward to our next school year planning. We've been meeting monthly and planning, and already they have their application out. It has been shared with the current Grissom families, and then after, if they don't get their 60 there, they're going to share with Southview, and then also some of the Y children, because this partnership is with the YMCA, and Jenny is always on our calls for that meeting, and they're not offering that program at the Y as they have before, that some of those kids may come to this program, but it's first to our Muncie students at Grissom. We always love our kickoff to kindergarten, and after several meetings, we decided at one point we had 3 weeks, 2 weeks, and really for that first, we want that 1 week, July 26th through the 30th, and to really get children in, to really learn the school. It's at each of the elementary schools. Our principals and secretaries will already be back at school, and working with Sarah Price as well, to get our numbers, our children participating and involved, and to attend that week, and really to learn about the cafeteria, to learn where the nurses clinic is, to go to the library. Hopefully our libraries will open next year, and they've been closed due to COVID, but then also figuring out how to get on the bus, how to get off the bus, And so some of those things throughout that week just to get acclimated to that school. I've also reached out to our Boys and Girls Club. And after talking with Jason, there will be a program for each grade level. And Dr. Reynolds will touch on those for middle school and high school. But for elementary, their program will begin June 14th through July 30th, looking at a full day. And they're asking to use Southside Middle School with a cap of 150 club members at the elementary, K-5, for that program. And then, of course, I reached out to our partners at the library. And so I appreciate Beth's help in connecting me with 4 different departments. But the Muncie Public Library will be offering Tales and Tales. And it's a summer reading program that will run June 14th through the 25th. Participants or their caregivers can log in and record their number of minutes for their reading logs. There's other programs like Great Achievers, and that will run. There were not set dates, and so I didn't put it in the PowerPoint. Once they share that information, I will make sure we share that out to our school community once all of those other dates are determined from the library. So that's summer fun for elementary. Before I turn it over to Dr. Reynolds, are there any questions?
Any questions for Dr. Bell? Thank you so much for your work on this. I mean, this is marvelous in terms of the diverse offerings that we have across grade levels and geographic areas. I assume the board's really pleased. Mr. Heater, you have a question?
Yeah, this is just a question, I guess. Probably safe to say that maybe this summer could be, even more critical than normal, given the fact that we're behind the curve. So, I mean, it's just a question, do all of our teachers, is there any special effort to encourage kids to participate in these programs? And if so, do we have some contingency if we have a lot of students that want to do it? I know there were limitations. Those limitations are based upon expectations and budgets and teachers and facilities. But I think this is a great opportunity here that we could pay dividends for so many kids if we could get more participating.
Do you want me to take that one, Dia? So what I would say, we already are having some good responses, even for the camp adventure in June and with Grissom Gold. And if we are committed, if we have students that want to be involved in programs and we're out of spots, we'll find ways to create more spots to be able to have more programs.
Okay. I wasn't implying we wouldn't. This is just a big deal, I think.
We want every student to have a great summer opportunity. And what's nice, you saw all the partners that we have, the commitment from our teachers. And so we'll make sure that we have great programs for every student that wants to be involved.
And if I may follow up with that, Mr. Heater, one example, we said we would start with the second graders at Grissom and Southview. I had a parent email me. She emailed Stacy already at Ball State. Stacy sent the email to me. I reached out to that parent. She has a second grader at EWA. I've sent her an application already. And so we're not not allowing, but the needs at Grissom and Southview seem to be greater. And so we wanted to start there, but
yeah, please don't take my question as criticism of not doing that. I just think that this is just an opportunity. And those teachers know who those kids are that are struggling the most. And, 2 weeks can make a huge difference if it can bridge that gap. So you all know that. I just think it's a great chance. So thank you.
Thank you.
Any additional questions or comments? Okay.
All right, don't trip up the court.
Dr. Reynolds.
All right, thank you. Just want to talk just briefly with you about our secondary offerings this summer. We'll mirror that of the elementary school and partner with the Indiana Writing Project and Ball State University to offer that Summer Institute of Writing for students entering 6th to 8th grade. Again, we'll cover those costs with our local or in federal grants. to help offset the cost for that, for families. Also, we will offer a youth poetry writing camp, again sponsored with the Indiana Writing Project and Ball State University. They're still working on the location, whether it'll be in person or virtual or both. That will be from June 29th to July 2nd, and for students entering the 7th and 8th grade. Again, the cost is $150 to $170, and we will again use grant funds to offset the cost for our families.
When you say offset, and Dr. Bell said the same thing, anybody who wants to attend.
That's right.
It's free for them, right?
Right. So there would be no fees or charges for our families.
So our cost is what we're covering with grant funds.
Right.
So for the benefit of all those watching tonight and later, there will be no cost to you as a family to attend these programs. Is that accurate?
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay.
Every single program we've talked about, free of charge for our families.
Okay. So I just want to make that clear. I understand why we have what it's, what the overhead is for us, but I want to make clear to the families out there that this is being provided for with grant funds through the school.
Right. Right. Thank you. Next, we'll have a middle school orientation camp for incoming 6th graders, and that will be a Panther camp and a Titan camp at the 2 middle schools. That will run from August 2nd to the 5th. We'll do 8:45 to 11:45 days, and we're excited to announce this year that we're going to be partnering with Project Leadership. Project Leadership is going to come in and help run some fun activities for us. Students will work on study skills, as much fun as that can be. They'll review study skills and work habits, but then also they're going to do some career and college introduction activities for our kids. I think they will really enjoy that. Additionally, they'll do like kindergarten orientation, where they'll go into the buildings, they'll practice their lockers, run through a day schedule, scavenger hunt through the building to find classes and spots in the building of importance. And then they'll also go out to Camp Adventure for a half day to do team building and leadership activities. Just a few logistics for our orientation. Again, no fees will be charged to our students or families. Transportation will be provided from either homes or satellite locations to get folks to the schools. And again, we'll provide breakfast and lunch for our kiddos. Again, this summer, we'll partner with the Boys and Girls Club summer programs to offer 7 to 5:30 services for our families from June 14th to July the 30th. Right now, the plan is to host that at the Bewley Center and Boys and Girls Club. For middle school, of course, it's grades 6 through 8. And right now, they're looking at a 75-member club member capacity. But again, like Dave said, we'll look at that and address that if we see there's a bigger need. All right, our high school offerings. Again, this summer, we'll offer a push to graduation. This is that, this year it's a week and a day to get our kids to the finish line. It's a pretty intensive full day opportunities for our students that are close to the finish line but may need a credit or two to wrap up before they graduate. Again, our full online offering will be available to students, and that will be led by our MCS teachers. Again, that's just the Friday after the student last day to graduation day that we'll offer that for our kids, our seniors. Our CHS in-person, we're excited to have in-person back for the summer. PE and most importantly, band. Marching band for our folks. We'll begin that from June to August. I'm sorry, the PE will be June 7th to July 1st for the first in-person session, and the second in-person session from July 5th to July 30th, 8:30 to 12. Again, and that's in person every day for PE. You'll find folks that take that, trying to knock out that credit before they hit their high school career, or maybe as a sophomore, so they don't have to spend another semester doing that, so they can take something else. Summer marching band, that's arranged. That's usually a Monday through Friday, 5 to 9, without camps. Again, no cost to enroll in the class, but there are some fees that will be associated with that through the Band Boosters. And they will work with students and families on scholarships and fundraising opportunities, but that's usually $150. Once you start talking about marching band shoes and shirts and shorts and the spirit gear and those things that go along with it. But we do, the Band Boosters and the directors provide lots of fundraising opportunities to help offset that as well. Like last year, we offered this because of the pandemic. We also found great success in it for our students. It's in CHS Online Academy for the summer, and that is our full catalog that we offer students during the school year to take those opportunities in the summertime. There are blended opportunities, so they can come in if they need to and get some assistance, but most of it is done online. You'll see the summer session 1 and 2 dates mirror that of the online PE sessions. Again, opportunities to come into the building to get support will be from 8:30 to 12. Again, this is an opportunity for kids to knock out some credits or catch up on credits they may have lost, probably this year, maybe more so than in the past, that this opportunity will be really important for our students. We have a specific niche that we had planned on launching last year, and we did online, but this gives that in-person PE, online biology as a freshman launch program. And last year we added, again, because of the pandemic, and we had great success, so we're going to keep that online algebra and Spanish for those students that attempted to earn that high school credit at the middle school, but maybe didn't hit the benchmark as far as grades or passing that into the semester final like they have to at the high school. So this will give those students an opportunity that if they didn't meet that middle school benchmark, that they could take it in the summer and still be on track with those graduation plans that they started writing in middle school to, so they can meet those goals, whether it's a Core 40 academic honors, technical honors diploma, just another opportunity for our students to earn credits. And most importantly, prior to that freshman year, that is so critical to gauging the success of students. And again, this summer, we will partner with Indiana Online Academy to offer those advanced placement courses that we don't offer through Apex. We always have a few students that enroll in that want to take those advanced placement courses just to knock out things in the school, so they have another opportunity to knock out things during the school year. This is very independent for the student and for the families, and they work closely with our guidance counselors to make sure that they're choosing the correct IOA courses to meet their graduation requirements. Like the middle school, the youth writing camp will be an opportunity for our students entering 9th through 12th grade. And again, some of that information is to be determined, but the youth writing camp and the youth poetry camp will mirror those dates of the middle school and again, be a terrific opportunity if our families choose to do that. And finally, we will have an not finally, we have one more. We have an orientation camp for incoming freshmen, similar to the 8th grade or 6th grade orientation. Opportunity for the students to get in and learn the building, find those specific points of interest within the building. We're partnering with Project Leadership, which is new this year, to discuss 21st Century Scholar benchmarks, which is what they support us with. Again, college and career opportunity activities and mentoring opportunities will be part of the activities that they provide for our students. Of course, they'll practice lockers, lunchroom processes as well. It's always big triggers for kids. Oh, and Camp Adventure. We still plan on heading out to Camp Adventure to do team building and leadership activities over those 2 days as well. And finally, the Boys and Girls Club does offer a summer program for our 9th through 12th grade students. That's located at the Madison Street location from 7:30 to 5:30. That would mirror that of our elementary and middle school. Just as a quick reference to, Dee and I put a color-coded calendar for you in that board packet that you can see all of the offerings. Again, it's a tremendous effort by the Muncie Community Schools, but also our partners to have a full array of opportunities this summer for our students. Guys, any questions before I ask for the motion about our secondary opportunities?
This is a lot of information. How do we communicate this to all the families? I mean, this is good stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're starting with the flyers. The flyers will head to the print shop tomorrow morning and be distributed to our schools before spring break, and then after spring break, we'll start a pretty big push to from our buildings to get out school messengers, flyers. We'll post it on our website and social media that we'll get these opportunities out and let folks know about them.
Good.
Even like I'm thinking about at Grissom when they sent out information about the 2 camps, they had certain students that they thought would do really benefit from them. So there's student assistance coordinator made personal phone calls to families. And so we are going to just go above and beyond trying to reach out and make connections. Yeah. I know, Anthony, you did the very same thing at your school. You knew kids that could benefit. And so we had counselors and different folks reach out to them. We're going to get our teachers to be very involved in helping our families understand about the opportunities too.
Good, thank you.
We can put some incentives for students to return the application.
Good.
So I've encouraged working with the principal, we include incentives that children earn within the school anyway.
Yeah.
Return those applications.
Is that pepperoni pizza by any chance?
I was going to suggest it. I really was going there.
You were going, yeah. Sorry, I beat you to the
No, I
punch.
was
Okay.
like, can we get the families a
Yeah.
pepperoni pizza?
Yeah, pepperoni pizza. This is good stuff. Yeah.
So Andy, any chance you could get Steve Lindell to let Dia and Chuck speak on the morning show and maybe tape some videos of various programs that we could then digitally send to students as well? Okay, let's, I agree with Dave and others who've commented. Let's do everything we can, but I do want to take a moment and thank Dia and Chuck. This is exactly, actually it's beyond what I had envisioned 2 or 3 years ago when I talked to Steve Edwards about summer programming. This is remarkable, so thank you both and everybody else who participated. I'm sure there are others I'm missing, but just thank you, thank you, thank you. This is really a potential jewel for families and their children. So let's staff it up with the people we need and get as many kids as possible there. Anything further before? Okay, I'm assuming Dr. Reynolds, you need a motion to approve all this?
Yes.
So moved.
Mr. Heater, we got a motion and a second. I think, Becky, did you get that? Okay, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Post same sign.
I know Dia mentioned a certain amount of teachers, but if we end up having more students, you would give permission that we could go in a continue hiring.
Of course, of course.
Wanted to make sure I made that clear.
Yeah. I mean,
I'll amend my motion to hire whoever we need to.
actually, Dave, we've talked a few times and he's looking for things to do.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
I'm in.
He's going to teach the team building.
Good.
Okay, that's wonderful. Mr. Jerome, tell us about the E-rate bid.
Yes, thank you. Included in your board packet, we were bringing back the bid back to the school board tonight to consider for permission to award this contract for the E-rate technology equipment. Tony Harvey and his team had put together these proposals, and we properly advertised them, received the bids on March 1st, And so what we'd like to do is have the school board award the bid tonight to Network Solutions from Carmel. It looks like a big number of $716,209.01 for the option 2 equipment that was listed in the various pages. However, we only are responsible for 10% of that, and that's because the bulk of the funding, 90% of the funding, is paid with E-rate funding to the vendor, so it's not even pass-through money. We only pay 10%. So that's what we're asking the board approval tonight, to accept that particular bid. And Tony obviously is here behind the curtain to explain any, but it's network equipment and licenses throughout all the district, all the school sites, and the YOC.
You had me at 10%.
Okay, good.
So, I mean.
I did have a question about that. So the vendor actually obtains the other 90%?
That is correct. If we would have done it under called the 471 Bear program, we would have been up front with all 716,000. But in this case, we're going to do it under what they call the SPI program. We only pay 10%.
So, any additional questions?
We actually have used this company in the past, had as
Yes.
a company,
Oh, yeah.
so,
Yep.
you know, they're certainly reputable and competent to do the job, which is important because we know we've struggled with some redundancy and some consistency, and, you know, we want somebody that's going to fix it and not create other problems, so.
Okay, that's good to hear. Any additional questions?
Move approval of the bid as presented.
Mr. Irvin's moved approval. Dr. O'Neill is seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Motion passes. Letter of agreement, Mr. Jerome, on Schmidt for EWA in Southview.
Yes, thank you. Also presented in your board packet tonight is the amendment to the letter of agreement with Schmidt Associates. This allows them, as the architectural firm, to begin their design work at EWA in Southview for purpose of using part of our CARES 2 federal funds, and that would be allowing for the planning, the specs, and to plan for a construction process to make major improvements at those two facilities.
Any questions? As I understand it, this is from CARES 2. We're going to be in CARES 3, assuming the House and Senate get together this week. Is that right?
Right.
So this is from the legislation that passed at the end of last year, correct? Okay, so.
Do we have a magnitude of how much? Not the fee, but how much money?
Well, that phase is 11.2 million is what we will receive for the total CARES 2 package.
And that was projected, so they haven't sent us the application yet, so will be roughly around that amount.
So the intent would be we'd have Smith design to a point through schematic perhaps, get an estimated value, and then we'd apply for the funding to do it. Okay, that makes sense. And then the fee structure would probably be in that 7 to 9% range. Okay, good.
Okay, does that make sense to everybody? Okay. Any additional questions? Okay, need a motion?
Move to approve.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Reimbursement resolution for construction project, Mr. Jerome.
Yes, thank you. This particular item, Jane Herndon, our Ice Miller attorney, said if we're contemplating these future projects that may include bonds, she thought it would be very good for us to invoke a reimbursement resolution. This does not commit us to selling bonds or commit us to any kind of project. It just allows us to pay ourselves back with any funds we may have to incur now. That in the future, if you ever did have to sell bonds for some of these projects over the next 2 to 3 years, if we did sell bonds, this would allow us to do that. The $900,000 was a figure that I had come up with myself, just looking at what our current fund balance was in the construction fund.
So, Mr. Jerome, as I understand it, this is really a best practice in order to ensure that if we issue subsequent bonds, we are able to retroactively cover debt that we've incurred and paid for out of the construction fund.
Yep, that's absolutely correct.
Okay. Any questions?
So this permission has no expiration?
No.
Attached to it, okay.
I move approval.
Mr. Heater has moved approval.
Second.
Been seconded by Mr. Hello, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. I want to take a moment, Mr. Jerome, and thank you. This practice a lot of folks miss. I mean, because ordinarily, for the benefit of those watching, bond funds and bond issues are look prospectively, and so to retroactively have the ability to cover expenses that you have incurred and paid for out of your existing funds is something that a fair number of folks miss. So thank you.
Well, and thank you, Jane Herndon at Ice Miller, for helping us remember to do that for sure.
I wasn't going to mention Jane, but that's
okay.
fine. She's very capable.
Yeah, she's a high achiever, or high potential also.
Oh, she's an attorney that,
I know.
that checks both boxes.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, she's actually met her potential.
Okay,
Irvin and I still, there's still hope.
Okay.
Yeah.
It must be getting late.
It is getting late. The cost of living increase to contract SSC.
Yeah, I wanted to bring this to the board. This is not an action item. I had met with them, and per their contract, which we have one more year to go, they were going to go ahead and invoke their, what they call their cost of living adjustment. It works out to $7,700 per month, 2.6% is what it would be. And I just included all that paperwork with you for the school board, just so you could see that. They did not invoke that last year. And I think as I had conversation with some of the board members before the meeting, if you look at the last 2 years, cost of living index, it was probably 2.5% or 2.6%. So very close to that anyway.
Yeah, so it's projected 2021 to be 2.24, and in 2020 it was 0.62, so they're actually under it a bit. So that's good. We also talked about Schedule 2 will be has been modified to include this facility and take out the old facility. Got it.
Okay. And so this is in an existing contract, and SSC is invoking it effective July 1st, 2021 for a cost of living adjustment for those folks, custodian, facility, and maintenance services. Correct?
That's correct. It really requires no board action. I just wanted to, as an FYI, because it's such a large item, I wanted to share that.
So I just have a question, just to make sure. We did not, even though the contract called for the ability to have that cost change last year, they did not invoke that.
That is correct.
I think that's an important point, because we'll have some people on the staff or teacher side that looks at a cost of living communication, if it's in the minutes, I think that's something of note. And then we would verify, these are published numbers.
Oh, yeah.
So these aren't numbers that SSC is going to pull out of the sky and say, we think it's this amount.
Right.
I think that's important too.
Yes, this was set forth on the schedules to the agreement, and they had the right to invoke it.
They have the right.
They had the right to invoke it in 2020.
Yeah, and last year, of course, was a time of great uncertainty for all.
For everyone. And certainly, when you look at the adjustment in 2021 vis-a-vis the period of time since there's been an adjustment, that cost of living adjustment is incredibly reasonable. I mean, from my perspective. Okay, that's, any questions concerning that? Okay, Mr. Jerome, financial report.
Yeah, the last thing really, and this is only obviously the February report, it's only 2 months out of 12 months. The biggest takeaway there, obviously we're still receiving our state funding each month based on our basic grant and based on our enrollment. Probably the most important thing I just wanted to share is you look at some of those projections of where we think our cash balance will be. A little after, I think about 4:30 today, we received the information from the state basically in letting us take a look at, the payback of some of those state loans early. So that's still a possibility for us. So.
And I forwarded that to Mr. Heater for the board's benefit. I've asked Mr. Heater to take the lead on discussions with Mr. Jerome for presenting the board with a recommendation at an appropriate time regarding the potential early payoff of some or all of that loan from the Common School Fund. So, Mr. Heater, I forwarded that to you, I guess, about 5:30 or 6 this evening. So whenever you guys, I know we've got plenty of time to talk about that, and obviously there are lots of moving parts to consider.
Yep.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to approve the financial report.
So moved.
Mr. Irvin?
Second.
Second from Mr. Lowe. All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, approved. Dialogue of the board, I would just say for the benefit of the board and for everybody watching tonight, I have received notice from the university that the board's request to extend our continued use and lease of the Northside Middle School has been approved, and we will be having that building for several additional years. So again, for anybody who's watching, Northside Middle School will certainly remain a viable part of our schools and for the foreseeable future. I received that notice, I think, Monday or Tuesday of this week from the university. And then second, again, at the risk of repeating something that all of us have said, the summer activities that are out there for our students and families are remarkable, and the vast majority, I think all of them come at no cost to those students and families, with the limited exception of those independent study advanced placement courses. So with that, is there anything additional before we wrap it up? I assume we have no media questions. Okay, kind of miss Seth. With that, yes, I do. Motion to adjourn. I'm looking at you, Dave. Got a motion, second. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Everybody have a nice evening. Yes. Pardon? Yeah, I've got an update on a couple items. Yeah. Oh.